Well, hello. And today I am with my breath coach. And I would say that she's actually more than a breath coach because she's my health coach. And her name is Sasha Yakovleva. And Sasha, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
Hi, Kary. Very nice to see you too.
Oh,
Mm,
great. Well, you have an event coming up, and I wanted to highlight that. Could you tell us about your event?
Sure. In June, I'm going to offer a retreat. It's a wellness retreat at a high altitude in Crestone, Colorado, where I am right now, with the beautiful mountains all over the place.
Excellent. And you said that that's going to start on June 1st and then go for a week. Is that correct?
It's a 7-day retreat, yes.
All righty. And you're the leader of this retreat, so will participants get to have an opportunity to personally work with you?
Absolutely. We will spend a lot of time together as a group, but also private sessions are included in the package. So I'm definitely looking forward to work one-on-one with the participants of this retreat.
Well, terrific. And are there any other instructors or teachers that are going to join you in this retreat?
Yes, one of them is Dr. Jesse Steinberg, and a lot of Buteyko students are familiar with him. So he's going to teach together with me. However, and it's very exciting for me, he's also going to offer chiropractic adjustments. And healthy breathing is always rooted in a good posture and strong spine. Yes, that's right. Was need to do it actually. Thank you, Kary, for your reminder. So JC, who is an advanced Buteyko specialist, will be offering chiropractic adjustments during this retreat.
Excellent. And tell us about the yoga instructor, about
All right.
Ola. Yeah.
Yes. And also, Ola Lugovska will participate in the retreat, and we will do Buteyko yoga every day. So Buteyko yoga is a basic physical yoga, like Hatha yoga,
Mhm.
but combined with breathing exercises. And it increases the level of CO2 in the lungs, which is normally represented by control pose or positive maximum pose very effectively.
You know, I had the privilege of taking one of her yoga classes on Zoom, and it was really great. We were doing certain poses while we were doing this, and then, of course, nostril breathing. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the breathing exercises that we're going to be going through.
Well, first of all, I would like just to um, explain the idea of this retreat and why it was created, because I think it's important for people to understand it, since it's a unique event and probably I never heard about a Buteyko wellness retreat at a high altitude. So for most people, it's quite easy to understand the Buteyko method by reading books or taking online courses, but it's not that easy to implement it. And everyone who practiced Buteyko knows this well. But one of the reasons why it's not so easy to implement it is that in a normal life, people get easily distracted because their lives is usually full of all kind of responsibilities, taking care of children, pets, work, plus entertainment, friends, and movies, restaurants, and so on. So my idea of this retreat was to create a dedicated space where every element of this event helps people to boost CO2, to boost their prana, to boost their chi, their vital energy. And it's very helpful, of course, to do it together with Buteyko teachers, because if they're doing something incorrectly, it could be, easily changed, noticed and changed, which is not always possible when a person practices the method on their own. But coming back to the idea that the life is full of distractions, normally a perfect environment to implement the Buteyko method would be a life in an ashram or a monastery. But because most of us don't live in an ashram or a monastery, I thought that it would be wonderful to dedicate 1 week of the year to your own well-being. Of course, health, first of all, but the Buteyko method is much more than just health. It really helps to accelerate your personal evolution on many levels, and to improve your whole well-being, or the system which is called a human being.
Mhm. So tell me or explain what the day-to-day schedule would look like, would be like if
But I forgot to answer your question about breathing exercises,
yes,
I
breathing
think, right?
exercises.
Breathing exercises. So to make it double effective, we are going to practice a lot of breathing exercises, but not only breathing exercises, but all kind of CO2 boosting techniques. So how the daily schedule will look like? We will every day, almost every day, we will do Buteyko yoga. We will hike and do some breathing exercises while hiking in these beautiful mountains. We will meditate every day. We will do chanting. We will do relaxation in beautiful natural hot springs, because relaxation also increases the level of CO2. And we will eat organic, vegan or vegetarian food, because this type of food is also supportive of a normal level of CO2, or the level higher than normal, which Dr. Buteyko called the yogic level. And we will spend a significant part of every day in silence. And I think it's an important part of the retreat, because silence traditionally, let me say this, in many cultures, silence used as a healing modality. But before it was difficult to explain why. And now, because thanks to the work of Dr. Buteyko, we know that being at peace and being silent at the same time always increases our prana, our carbon dioxide level. And most modern people don't have this privilege to be silent. Yeah, the phone is always ringing, and Zoom calls, this and that. So actually, I was surprised when I started introducing silence to my clients as a CO2 boosting technique. I found out that some of my clients never spent even one day being silent. That was really surprising to me. So the retreat offers this opportunity to be silent for a significant part of every day, to look inside, to harmonize your inner world, and to invite a transformation, positive change.
So you mentioned food and a very interesting place to stay. I'm wanting to hear all about it.
Mhm.
Where will the participants stay? First off, I guess you're going to have a van that picks them up from Denver and takes them to
Oh, yes,
Crestone.
yes, yes, we will transport people from Denver to
Mhm.
Crestone, which is about 4 hours away from Denver, and also from Crestone to Denver on the way back.
Okay, and tell us
Mm.
about where they're going to stay, and then I have to ask about the food.
Of course. Yeah. I'm very excited about the place to stay, where the participants are going to stay. It's a beautiful Buddhist center with an incredible, glorious, magnificent shrine room. And before, I wouldn't even dream about doing a Buteyko retreat there. But the lamas, the Tibetan lamas who are in charge of this place, kindly offered their center for us, the Buteyko practitioners, to do this sacred breath retreat. I'm very, very grateful for it. So it's a very powerful place, a place which is totally penetrated by the energy of strong meditative praxis, and also very old special relics which were brought to Crestone, to this center from Tibet, and now they're kept in this shrine room. So I've heard from many people that just being in this shrine room, it's already an event on its own.
And they'll have dorm rooms and accommodations there as well.
Yes, the participants will stay in the center. Yeah, they have really nice rooms there, and food. Food is going to be good, I think, because I personally know the cook. He's a monk now.
Mhm.
Yes, but before that, he was a chef in a fancy restaurant, and I love his cooking. I love his food. So hopefully the participants will enjoy it too.
I'll just have to say, I was at a retreat at Varjavidya not too long ago, and I did get the opportunity to sample Bodhi's food.
Buddhist food, yeah, it's
Monk Bodhi.
famous.
And it was terrific. I've got a rule that I always make my own avocado dip or guacamole. Never store buy it or hummus. I'm a hummus snob. I'm a guacamole snob. Bodhi made the best hummus and the best guacamole that I've ever had, among other things that were just fantastic.
I know, he's incredible. I'm just so pleased with all the aspects of this retreat, because it seems that all elements of it are coming in together so nicely and smoothly. I feel like the universe is giving us gifts. Here's wonderful food. This is a
Mhm.
magnificent shrine room. These
And spiritual
mountains,
healing energy that's
spiritual
really
healing.
powerful.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
You know,
absolutely.
talking about healing energy and spirituality, the Buteyko tradition is a very spiritual tradition as well. Could you elaborate on that a little bit, please, Sasha?
Absolutely. Actually, most Western Buteyko teachers don't see the Buteyko method as a spiritual tradition. And there is a tendency in the West to present the Buteyko method in a very materialistic way, basically as a chain of breath holds. And it doesn't really represent the method correctly, because the method is much more than that. And, even before Dr. Buteyko made his discovery about breathing and about carbon dioxide, people all over the world already used CO2 boosting techniques. because without them, optimal health and longevity and also peaceful mind and peaceful life are not possible. What are those CO2 boosting techniques, which were traditional all over the world? They're prayers, chanting, spiritual singing, meditation. So all of that, if it's simply combined with healthy breathing, increases carbon dioxide, increases prana or vital energy. So there is a very, very strong connection between the Buteyko method and spirituality. In fact, when Dr. Buteyko was asked, what is the main, what is the remedy for hyperventilation? Right? What is the main cure for hyperventilation? And so his answer was altruism, which is, the core element of any genuine spiritual path. So compassion, altruism is the essence of the Buteyko method. And I think it's really important to keep it in mind that that's the core element. However, it's very difficult to make progress on this path without practicing gentle, peaceful breathing, because every breathing pattern supports or defines a thinking pattern, right? So by modifying our breathing, we also modify our thinking.
That's terrific. Now, Crestone, as I understand, is what, about 8,000 feet? Is that correct? Elevation?
Buteyko Retreat Center, where we are going to stay, is located on 8,500 feet elevation. And during this retreat, we will be basically in between 8,000 and 9,000 feet elevation.
So could you please, before we talk about Crestone, because I definitely want to talk more about Crestone, but tell us what the advantages are to doing breathing exercises and practicing the Buteyko method in a high altitude environment.
The advantages are incredible, and there are more than one. There are many of them. The first one is that at this altitude, everything about breathing becomes amplified, which gives us an incredible chance to learn about ourselves and about our health through our breathing. It's much easier at a high altitude, it's much easier to be guided by your breath. I'll use this example that coffee usually triggers hyperventilation to a certain degree and could decrease the level of carbon dioxide. When I drink a cup of coffee at the sea level, I don't really feel anything. So I'm under the impression that coffee has a neutral effect on my breathing and through my breathing on my health. If I drink a cup of coffee at this altitude, I immediately feel that my breathing patterns change. My breathing rate goes up basically. And I breathe more and I breathe faster. So by observing my breathing at this altitude, it's easy for me to conclude that coffee, just as Dr. Buteyko described it, said it is not really good for my breathing and for my health. But of course, because I love it, I'm going to continue drinking it.
I'm not giving up my coffee, that's for sure. Well, you know, some people may find it really physically challenging to practice at a
Oh,
high.
wait. I need to tell you about other aspects of
Oh, okay.
being at the high altitude, because it's really important for people actually to understand it. Another wonderful thing about being at a high altitude is that reduced breathing is automatic here. So this rarefied mountain air doesn't contain as much oxygen as the air at the sea level. And because of that, we breathe usually, especially if you are mindful about your breathing, you breathe less here. And as a result, just being at this elevation could increase the level of carbon dioxide in the lungs. A lot of breathing coaches suggest using special masks for breathing or special tents to imitate the air at the high altitude to increase people's CO2. And of course, it's not fun to use a synthetic mask or a plastic tent. It's much better to be together with nature outside and breathe this very pure air and practice reduced breathing this way. And of course, if you combine it with Buteyko breathing exercises, it will become double effective. So, and another benefit is that the air at this elevation is very pure. And it's very good, of course, for our health. Dr. Buteyko said that the air is the most powerful element because it affects our health, more than anything. He said we could live without food for about a month. We could live without water for about a week, and we could live without the air just for a few minutes. So following this comparison, we could see that the air affects our health really more than anything, more than food and more than water. And because of that, we could say that, breathing in pollutants, fortunately, has a very strong negative effect on health. But many people who live in big cities, they just don't have another choice.
Mhm.
And that's why I think it would be so wonderful for Buteyko students, Buteyko practitioners to spend a week here and nourish themselves with fresh, pure mountain air.
Yes, and I know that the water is amazing as well. But, of course, we're talking about breathing, but one of the things about the San Luis Valley, where you're located, is that it's one of the largest freshwater aquifers in the world. And that water runs through caves that are underground, lined with crystals. And I always feel so rejuvenated there, not just from the air, but from the water.
Yeah, Crestone is a place of magic. There is no place like Crestone anywhere in the world.
Yes. So going back to the if somebody is challenged physically, breathing, and they're in a high altitude, and how do you support them, especially because they might be a little bit more challenged or think they're going to be challenged because they'll have to be breathing nasally.
Absolutely. It is a serious concern, but we are going to take care of it during the retreat because everything I'm going to offer will be in accordance with people's respiratory strength.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that for some people it would be difficult to walk fast at this altitude. And so they will walk slowly breathing through the nose only and stop as many times as they need to do that in order to maintain a healthy nasal breathing. And other people who are more athletic and whose breathing is stronger, if they could run at this altitude, maintaining nasal breathing, then they will be able to do that. But the whole retreat is organized to accommodate different levels of respiratory strength.
And you'll also have a medical professional there, Jesse, and Ola is going to be helping you out as well. So I think would you say you're going to be pretty well covered?
I believe so, absolutely. Yeah.
I would trust them.
And the other thing is that we're not going to have a very big group of participants, and I'm very actually glad that it's going to be this way. So it's a small, intimate retreat, and we will spend a lot of time together. And yes, the teacher will become quite familiar with breathing patterns of the participants, and everything will be supervised, and we are going to help as much as possible.
Well, terrific. And could you tell us a little bit more about Crestone, about this magical place that you live?
There is too much to tell.
There really
It's
is.
impossible, yes. Well, first of all, sometimes people call it a new Tibet, which is interesting on its own. American Indians call this, Native Americans, better to say, call this place a spiritual vortex, and it's definitely is. It's a place of transformation, a little town and a big place and a big valley, and this place contains more than 20 spiritual centers of different traditions, stupas, labyrinth, and all kind of interesting landmarks. And my favorite thing about Crestone is Crestonians. People are amazing here because this place attracts unusual, interesting, and independent thinkers. And we will have some guests during the retreat, so people will have an opportunity to have fascinating discussions and also try different techniques, healing techniques, because there are a lot of healers in Crestone.
You know, one of the things that really strikes me about Crestone is that as you're walking around, you see three 14,000-foot peaks that just practically go from your doorstep straight up.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I was just thinking about it, that I should somehow show it. Like, do you see it?
I can
Now
see
you
one
can
of them
see
now.
it
I can see
better.
Challenger Peak. It's a
Yeah, it's
footer.
so beautiful.
Completely
Yeah.
different environment up there, you know?
Yes, definitely. And it's going to be really nice here in June because, usually in June, Crestone is beautiful. Mountain streams are very full and it's warm and sunny. And it feels like June feels like a time of renewal.
You know, one of the things that strikes me about Crestone was at nighttime, I remember I could look up, and the first time I thought I saw a cloud going across the sky. And then upon a little bit of further observation, I realized that that was the Milky Way. It was so thick with stars, and you can actually see your shadow during a new moon from stars.
Yeah, the night sky is amazing here. Yes, it's almost like being in an observatory.
Mhm.
You could just study all the stars by looking up simply.
You know, and one of the things that I really liked was if you go up, and I'm sure you're probably going to take people to the big stupa, and you can see the whole valley. what you see visually is the equivalent of 3 New England states. I've been up
Mm,
at that spot and I've seen 3 or 4 different weather systems. I remember one
mhm,
day, and this was in late summer, I saw about 14 different dirt devils whirling around all
mhm.
over, and we're talking about visually, if you were in a car, it would take you an hour to get to them. And here they
Right.
are, just right
Yeah.
before you.
Perhaps we shouldn't advertise Crestone because it's because it's like a hidden treasure, and
Yes,
it's better to keep it quiet.
all righty. Well, this is terrific. Was there anything else that you want to say about this fantastic retreat that you're going to be doing?
Well, I hope it's going to be fantastic. I hope it's going to be really helpful for the participants. Of course, the main goal is to help people to improve their health and especially their breathing. Um, the climate in this area is very supportive of this idea, of this goal, because it's sunny and very dry. And for many people who suffer from congestion, cough, and many other lung problems, it's really helpful to be in a sunny and dry climate. Um, and sometimes when you spend time at a high altitude, when you go back to the sea level or to a low elevation, you feel enormous energy. So again, I think that this aspect will be very helpful for the participants. And I'm planning on doing those sacred breath retreats every year. I hope it's going to be an annual event when Buteyko practitioners, Buteyko students, and our Buteyko community will come together and celebrate the profound work of Dr. Buteyko as one group.
Well, that's terrific. Well, thank you so much, Sasha, and I wish you the best on the retreat. I'm going to be attending.
I know, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. I'm
and
so
I'm
glad.
just so excited about it and the health benefits that are going to happen, and just the fact that passively being at that altitude and practicing breathing, nasal breathing, is a lot, and then the support structure that comes with it. And then you've got Jesse, and then you've got Ola, it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you, Kary. I'm looking forward to it.